Hi friends, welcome. If you've got the playlist, go ahead and hit the very first song on it now. So we will get started standing at the top of your mat. And a yoga block will be helpful for class today just for a little bit of feedback, but it's not necessary. So if you don't have one, don't stress it. If you do have one, put it right in between the legs, just barely above your knees. And then just take a deep breath or two. Maybe 5, maybe 10. Just keep breathing. And just stand in Tadasana for a moment, mountain pose. And as you're breathing, I invite you to begin to explore breathing into the back side of your body, as if you're breathing and getting all the movement to happen in the lower back, even though it might just be so subtle. Inviting the breath to move in a full 360 motion. And then intertwine your thumbs and begin to reach your arms all the way up overhead. And as you do, invite your shoulders up by your ears. When your arms are reaching up overhead, in this position, it's good for the scapula to get a little bit of a lift. And then I invite you to continue your breathing rhythm here, with attention to the lower back and the muscles on either side of the spine, finding a little soft, oh so subtle movement as you inhale and exhale. I talk about this idea of the inner ecosystem a lot. But it's because your body communicates more to your brain than your brain does to your body. 80% is your body communicating to your brain versus the other way around. And so through these practices, through these movements, through your breath, and even the mind's attention on all of those things, we get to use the body as a tool to communicate with the brain. And we also get to get all these things to sync up and work together to find a harmony that invites us to be here and now. Lift the shoulders up again a little bit if they've gone down. And then draw your attention to your inner thighs, where that yoga block is. Grip the floor with your big toes, and then begin to get the inner thigh muscles to activate a little bit, so you feel a little bit of pressure or resistance on the block. It says if your inner thighs are squeezing the block and pushing it backwards in space, almost like a little Pez dispenser, and then at the same time in opposition, our knees are dialing outward. Your knees dial out. So we kind of find this idea of doing all those things at once, but really getting the inner thighs to activate, and then that activity traveling all the way up to your outer hips. And noticing as you focus there, if perhaps your abdominal muscles begin to put a little more effort into Tadasana. And then breathe into your lower back again. Inner thighs activated. Knees dialing out a little bit so that your outer hips activate. Steady breath. Say hi to your shoulders. And if your rib cage tends to flare apart here, that's an invitation to bring a little more attention to gathering in the lower abdominal area to work with the inner thighs. A couple more full breaths, noticing the range of movement all around your torso. And then release your thumbs. Slowly begin to float your arms, bit by bit. all the way down. Inhale, lift your arms up. Continue holding the block. Exhale, bend your knees, chair pose, or fierce pose. And find that connection with the block again, knees dialing outward, but inner thighs activating and putting pressure on the block. Core cinches in, and it's as if you're lifting up and out of the chair, not sitting down into it. Breathe in. Exhale, sweep the right hand down toward the floor, and then all the way back behind you. Left arm reaches forward. Full inhale. Notice the inner thighs again. And then right hand sweeps down and forward and up. Left hand sweeps down and back as the right arm reaches forward. Core cinches in with attention to the inner thighs, squeezing the block a little bit. And then left hand sweeps down, then forward, then up. Stand all the way up tall. Squeeze your buns really tightly for a moment at the top. And then exhale, forward fold, remove your yoga block. Inhale, halfway lift up, reach your arms back behind you. Exhale, fold right back down. Press your hands firmly down into the mat. You can scoot your feet back a teeny bit. Bend your knees. And bring a little more weight into your hands so you start to lift up onto your tiptoes. Relax your head and look back behind your feet and fix your gaze on one spot on the mat. And then press your hands so firmly into the earth, your shoulders lift up by your ears like they did when you were standing. And just put a little more pressure in toward the fingertips. Gather your fingers in toward the center of your palm as they grip the mat. Back of the neck long, look back. And then pick up the right foot. Hover it here. Breathe in. And then exhale, step the right foot way back. Bring both hands to the inside of your left foot. Maybe wiggle the hips for a moment side to side. Let the feet rotate. And then back knee lowers down to the ground. Heel toe your left foot out to the edge of the mat and point the toes out at kind of like a left angle. Left arm lifts up to the sky. And pause here for a moment. For a moment to think about the inner thighs again, all the effort that we created as we were standing up in Tadasana with the block between the legs. And so instead of sinking down into the stretch, you're lifting up. Everything's gathering in like your inner thighs are trying to squeeze a block between them, even though the legs are going in two very clearly different directions. Option to bend the right knee, flex your foot, and reach your hands back towards your heel. Not to grab and then sink into the shape, but again to stay lifting up. It's as if you're pushing your heel up into your hand. Right shoulder draws back, core gathers in. Work with those inner thighs. Anjayasana. And then slowly release your right foot back down to the ground. Sweep your left hand down, then forward. As you shift your hips back and roll up onto the heel of the left foot. Arms reach up. Arda, Hanumanasana, which is half splits. And here in this shape, find that gathering in and lifting up, not sinking into the lower back, not flopping down, but really squeezing the legs toward one another and lifting up. This shape is named after Hanuman, and the story with it is this is the shape that he took before he jumped over a huge canyon, a huge gap in the land. And so it's like the preparation to a flying leap. So find that energy in this, or explore pulling in all that fierceness. That same thing with chair pose. Everything gathering in toward midline to lift up and out, and to even help you find a stretch at the same time. Breathe in. Exhale, both hands down to the inside of your left foot. Pick your left foot up off the mat, squeeze the core, circle sweep that leg all the way out to reach back behind you. Plant the foot to the ground, left arm up over your ear. Supported side plank with the right knee down. Allow your right leg to swing out however it needs to. Squeeze your core and your buns. Left shoulder up by the ear, reach it up. And then left hand down to the ground. Both elbows lower down. Pick your right knee up. Tuck the toes under. Walk your feet in closer, plank pose, Dolphin Down Dog. We'll get to the dolphin plank in a moment. Oh, hi, kitty. Hands pressed down into the mat. It's as if your elbows are squeezing toward one another and yet pressing away from one another at the same time. Getting all those muscles around your forearms and your upper arms to hug in, to hug your bones tightly. Cinch in your core. Pull your elbows back towards your heels just as much as you press them forward. In all four directions here in the arms. Look forward, breathe in. Option to do a dolphin down dog push-up and bend your elbows deeply, bring your face forward. Option to skip that. Press up and back. And then one more time. Core squeezes. Keep those arms active as you move through that shape. And then tiptoe your feet back till you're in a dolphin plank or forearm plank. Words, words, words. Squeeze your buns, squeeze your core. Elbows gather in toward one another just as they press forward and pull back. Lower your hips all the way down to the mat, Sphinx Pose. Untuck your toes. Press the tops of your feet consciously down into the mat. Squeeze your butt, squeeze your core so much that you begin to lift your hips up off the mat and tuck your chin in close. Inhale, lower back down. Elbows pull back as your heart draws forward. Chin stays drawn in toward your throat. Exhale, squeeze your core, tuck your chin, lift the hips. Move with your breath 2 more times. Notice your shoulders. They want to round forward. Explore pulling them back a little here. And then next time, lower all the way down. Bring your hands in close as if you're going to do a push-up. Take a moment to reach your elbows up towards the ceiling, hands off the ground. And then plant your hands, down dog. Tiptoe all the way to the top of your mat. Halfway lift up, breathe in. Exhale, forward fold. Rise all the way up, arms lift. Exhale, hands to your heart. Breathe in, arms lift up. And exhale, fold right back down. Soften your knees enough so hands can come to the floor and without it feeling like too much of a wild stretch. Press your palms into the floor. Elbows kind of wrap back a little bit. Grip the floor with your fingertips. Straighten your arms. Head looks back. Gaze looks back between the feet. Focus your eyes on one spot so the back of the neck is long. Press your hands into the ground, straightening the arms. Option 2, lift up onto the tiptoes and shift your weight toward your hands a little bit. The main temptation here will be to look forward and shorten the back of your neck, but keep looking back between the feet. Press your hands down, shoulders up by the ears. And then heels lower back down. Left foot picks up off the mat, so the left hip lifts up, core kind of works with you there. And then step your left foot way back. Both hands to the inside of your right foot, right leg. Welcome to shift side to side for a moment here if you'd like. And then back knee lowers down to the ground. Heel toe your right foot out a little bit so that the toes can point out at an angle. And again, as if the block were in between the inner thighs, gather everything in for this. Lifting you up and away from the ground as you bend the left knee. That's an option. You don't have to go there. Right hand reaches up and then back toward the foot. So we're not sinking down, pressing the hips towards the floor, but we're squeezing the legs toward one another. Core is supporting you as your shoulders open up and roll back. Left heel presses up into your hand. Release your back foot. Shift your hips back. Tuck those left toes under as you straighten toward more into that right leg and lift your arms all the way up. Arda, Hanumanasana, or half splits. Gather your core in. Gather your legs in toward one another. Lift your arms up, shoulders up by the ears. Rotate your palms to face up towards the ceiling, thumbs out. Notice what that does for the upper back and breathe here. Rotate your hands inward so they go all the way the other way and just notice the shoulders. Legs still gather in, core gathers in. Rotate your hands, palms up, thumbs out. Notice the shoulders. Reach your hands away from you. And then both hands down to the inside of the right foot. Lift that back knee up. Excuse me, keep it down. Pick your right foot up. Slowly, slowly reach it out to the side. Sweep it all the way back behind you. Plant your foot down to the ground. Right arm up over the ear. Left foot, left leg can swing out however it likes. Squeeze your right butt, core. It's like that whole left side is cinching in and lifting up as you breathe into the right side. And then right hand down to the ground. Both elbows down to the mat as you lift your knees, Dolphin Down Dog. Option to do 2 of those dolphin push-ups or to stay here. Either way, elbows gather in as they press out. Hands grip the mat and the elbows push forward as they pull back. Do 1, 2, or 3 or 4 of those push-ups. And then toes tiptoe back till you're in the forearm plank. Same activation of the arms. Slightly different shoulder position. Rotate your hands so your palms face toward one another. Thumbs up towards the ceiling. Squeeze your buns, squeeze your core. Elbows gather in toward one another really tightly for a moment, like your arms are magnetized. And then explore pressing them apart as hard as you can. And then find a happy medium between those two. Lower your hips down to the ground. Palms face down. Sphinx Pose. Untuck your toes. Exhale, chin tucks in. Core squeezes, hips lift up off the mat. Inhale, slow lower right back down. Notice your arms again. Exhale, chin tuck first. Lift the hips. Move with your breath. Inviting your breath, the life force part of your body, to work so well with your body, with your movement. And then hands come back by your sides. Lift up through your elbows for a moment. Lift both your feet up off the ground, and then tuck the toes under at the same time. Press up, down dog. Tiptoe back to the top of your mat. I somehow keep ending up at the back of mine, so you might have to walk forward a little bit. Halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, soft knees. Breathe and rise up, lift up your arms. Exhale, fold right back down. Soft knees, hands press into the ground one more time. Press your hands so firmly into the ground, your arms straighten and your shoulders lift up by the ears and protract. Get up onto the tiptoes if you'd like. Look back. Back of the neck nice and long. Maybe look back at that very back edge of your mat. Breathe in. Exhale, right foot lifts up and takes a step back. Right knee down to the ground. Left hand lifts up as your left foot, heel toes out to the side. And it's Anjaneyasana, right hand to right, or left hand to right foot. Everything gathers in, lifts up. Slowly release your foot and your hand. As you shift your hips back, roll up onto the heel of your left foot. Arms reach up, maybe even intertwine the thumbs. It's up to you. Breathe in. Inner thighs gathering in as your knees dial out. And then both hands down to the inside of your left foot. Left foot lifts up. Hold it high as you rotate it all the way back. Maybe explore not leaning too much. I just leaned over a ton. Left foot down to the ground, left arm up over your ear. Breathe in. Exhale. Hold that left arm up to the sky. Option 1, just stay and pause here and enjoy the stretch with the arm up over the ear. Option 2, pick your right knee up off the mat. Rotating your torso, your knee open to the left. Option to extend the leg way out, up toward the top of your mat, and then set the foot down. Slow lower of your hips all the way down to the ground. Left hand toward left leg, right arm up over the ear. Breathe in. And then right hand goes right back to where it was on the mat. Hips lift up. Left hand down to the mat. Step your right foot back as you lower your elbows down. Forearm stand. Option to do those push-ups. Just 2, if you would like. Tiptoe your feet back. Forearm plank. And then lower all the way down. Breathe in, just staying with Sphinx Pose this time. Activate the arms even though we're more paused here. Pinky toe sides of the feet, press down into the mat. Chin draws in, back of the neck long. And then slide your hands back by your shoulders, tuck your toes, core squeezes, leg squeeze, press up, down dog. Tiptoe, step, hop, however you would like to get all the way back to the top of your mat. Breathe in, halfway lift up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, lift up your arms. And exhale, hands right back down. Pausing for that little moment here. Hands press down, lift up onto your toes. Look back toward that back edge of your mat. And hands press so firmly into the ground, your shoulders come up by your ears. Put a little more weight into your hands, as if you're going to lift your feet up off the ground. And then pick your left foot up. Step your left foot all the way back, knee down to the ground. Heel toe your right foot out to the edge of your mat. Right hand lifts up as you optionally bend that left knee. Heel presses up into your hand. Release your foot. And as Arda, Hanumanasana, half splits, hips shift back, press the right heel down, gather the legs in toward one another, squeeze your core. Reach the arms up overhead, breathe in. And then exhale, both hands down to the inside of your right foot. Squeeze your core to help you lift that right foot up, out to the side. And then left foot swings out a little bit as you plant that right foot. Right arm up over the ear. Option to stay here until we move toward forearm stand. Option to pick the left knee up off the mat. Hold it in close. And then extend that left leg all the way out. A little more up toward the hand. Lift your hips for a moment. And then hips lower down to the ground. Right arm toward the right leg, however far you'd like. Left arm up over the ear. Breathe into that left side. And then left hand back down to where it was. Hips lift up. And then as you step that left foot back, both elbows lower down. Dolphin Down Dog. Forearm Stand. One last time here, you get to choose if you would like to do those push-ups or not do those push-ups. Feet tiptoe back. Forearm plank. Squeeze your core, squeeze your buns, and then lower your hips all the way down. This time, walk your elbows a little more forward. Quite a bit more forward. So the back bend's a little lower. Press the tops of your feet down into the mat. Pinky toe sides too. And see if you can find, if you had a block between your inner thighs right now, see if you could find that same activation we found in Tadasana at the very beginning. So your inner thighs, it's like they're trying to reach up toward the ceiling. All those inner thigh muscles squeeze and create a little resistance around the block that's not there right now. Elbows pull back and in and out and forward all at once, getting your shoulders to draw down your back. Tuck your chin all the way in for a moment, down toward your chest. And then look forward. Elbows go out wide. Place your cheek to one side and just shimmy your hips for a moment. And then from here, going to flip over onto your back. You have a couple options. If you're ready to be a little bit more relaxed, you can take the yoga block and just put it right underneath your tailbone, whatever height you'd like, and just be here in a supported bridge pose. If you've got one last little bit of exploration, that's going to feel good and feels right, like it's a yes to your body at this point, you are welcome to join me, beginning more in bridge pose. So first, feet line up with your hips a little bit. And this time your hands, instead of elbows being down by your sides, your hands are gonna tuck in by either side of your head with your fingers pointing towards your shoulders. Cinch in your core so the lower back pushes down into the yoga mat. And just press your hands down. You don't have to lift up, you don't have to do anything. Just notice what that feels like as your hands press down. Maybe press down through each individual fingertip. And just notice what that does for the arms. And then relax your arms, your legs. You can even put the yoga block in between your knees right now if you would like. We're going to find that same activation just as you lift your hips that we had when we were in Tadasana. So hips lift up. And it's as if your knees are squeezing that block purely by getting the inner thighs to activate and to squeeze. Knees dial outward ever so slightly so that the glutes, your outer hips, fire. Option to just stay right here. Option 2 or 3 or 4, whatever one we're on. Core squeezes, legs stay super stable here. And the next option is to lift your head up, press down into your hands, lift your head up, and just ever so slightly tap the top of your head onto the mat. Don't put a ton of weight there. The strength needs to be in your hands and arms lifting your head up off the mat. And then from there, welcome to explore straightening the arms, but continue to find the activation like there's a block between your legs as you squeeze your core. Hands press down into the ground as much as they did in our forward fold today. Shoulders up by the ears. Wheel pose. And then chin tucks in tightly as you slow lower all the way back down. Separate your feet, the mat's width apart, and just windshield wiper your knees side to side for a moment. I used to think it was way easier to not pause with that little head tap for wheel pose, but I also didn't used to have a lot of core strength for holding the shape. So finding those little points of pause to just notice what's gathering in, what's working with your legs, your core, your arms, and inviting in a little more support where it's needed, or perhaps a pause and a return to the mat if it's needed. If you'd like to go for the shape one more time and explore it one more time, it's not something to perfect, it's something to just be with, to witness and feel the inner experience, working with the experience of physical body, your mind, and your breath. Breathe deeply as you move through this. So hands can come back up by your head if you'd like. Core squeezes. Legs begin to activate as you lift your hips up off the mat. So knees are dialing out, yet inner thighs are squeezing. Breathe in. And use your exhale, the supportive part of your breath, to bring yourself onto the top of your head. Bun squeeze, knees dial out, and then press your hands down into the ground. Heart pushes forwards As your hands push straight down into the ground, shoulders come up by the ears. Breathe in. Exhale, chin tucks in. As you slowly lower back down, elbows stay squeezing toward one another. And then even if you're in the supported bridge pose, you're also welcome to lift your legs up to the sky. Dead bug. Your arms can reach up as well, or you can keep them under your head like a little pillow. And notice your body slow down. Notice how it felt after a back bend or during, what you feel now. Softening and easing into unfolding and opening up comes from a place of strength, of courage. Deep breath, using a slow, slow exhale to invite your body back into a more restful state of the nervous system. And then feet slowly sink down toward the floor. If there's any last stretches you need today, maybe a figure 4 or happy baby pose, you are welcome to any of the above, and anything else you might be needing. Otherwise, make your way toward Shavasana. We've done a little bit of back bending today, so having bent knees in your Shavasana might feel kind of nice. If you'd like, you can place both hands underneath your head and just take your thumbs to either side of your spine, to the muscle tissue on either side of your spine. Just gently press around in there till you find a tender spot. And then just lift your chin like 1 centimeter, such a micro movement. And then lower your chin 2 centimeters. And then lift and lower as you just press your thumbs gently into the muscle tissue there. And then relax your head. And just take 2 more full breaths with your thumbs pressing in. And then relax your hands, your arms, and invite your attention to your inhale. You're welcome to continue doing what you've been doing. You're welcome to explore breaking your inhale into 3 parts. So the first third of your inhale, you breathe in a little bit into your belly, and there's no perfect amount here, so don't stress that. And then you pause and hold for a moment. And then you breathe the second part of your inhale into your rib cage as if it's moving out to the sides and back. And then pause and hold it for a moment. And then breathe in the last third of your inhale up into your heart. Pause and hold it for a moment. And then 1 slow, slow exhale all the way out. Just a gentle, steady pace to that last drop of air. And then again, breathe into your abdomen, just that first third. Pause. Breathe into your rib cage, moving out to the sides. And pause. And then breathe up into your heart. Slowly let it go all the way out. Let your breath find whatever natural rhythm it would like. And I invite you to explore letting the ground and gravity do all the work here. And then take a deep breath in. Let it go all the way out and begin to work your way toward a full body stretch. Toes to fingertips. And then from here, you can roll off to one side and back up to seated. Thank you, friends, so much for joining me this evening. The light with me honors the same divine light within each of you. Namaste.